There are two ways of thinking that I believe you need to adopt if you want to have a good and fulfilling life. The problem is that they are at odds with each other, and I've found myself wrestling with them. So here is how I'm learning to square the circle of gratitude and striving. So let's start with striving. The way I think about striving, and you can call it ambition, you can call it drive, the way that I think about it is actively trying to change your situation. You're never fully satisfied with where you're at because you're always trying to be better. You're ultimately trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be, so your actions reflect the life that you want to live. And then there's gratitude. So I have so much to be grateful for. It's ridiculous when you start to think about it. I can see why, the gurus say to have a gratitude practice. It's because there is so much material wealth around me. I happen to be born in the 1990s. I happen to be born in the United States. I have a wife that I love. I have a son that I adore. I have a big garden. I have free time to pursue my hobbies. My work is personally fulfilling. So there is just an overwhelming amount of things in my life that I can be grateful for. And then there's the two fears that accompany both ways of thinking. So when it comes to striving, my fear is that I am going to be so focused on becoming the ultimate version of me or fulfilling my potential that I will never actually look around, pause, and reflect and be grateful for what is around me. Because this idea of fulfilling your potential, it's so vague that you might never get there. There's no way to finish the race. You run through the finish line and then somebody says to you, okay, congratulations, you fulfilled your potential. So my worry is, does striving mean that you put off enjoyment until you arrive when you never actually truly arrive? As Oliver Berkman points out, you will die with a full to-do list. The second fear that I have is around gratitude. Will I be so grateful for the life I have, what I've accomplished, that it hinders my desire, it hinders my ambition to go out and to achieve more? Is it just another distraction on my way to fulfilling my purpose, to living within my gifting, to fulfilling my big objective, whatever the hell that means? So here's how I'm trying to think about it. And I by no means have this figured out. This is just what is working for me. So I'm trying to replace striving with curiosity. To me, striving implies some kind of hardship that you have to endure, some kind of gauntlet that you have to go through. And I think for certain things you do have to strive, where there's a specific goal. For example, a gold medal in the Olympics. Yeah, you're gonna have to strive. Or you want to become a CEO of a certain company. Yeah, I can see striving being useful there. That being said, the reason I like curiosity is because it implies an open mind and an open spirit. It's imaginative, it's inquisitive, it's lighthearted. It doesn't have that hard edge that striving seems to have. But it should be said that curiosity certainly does not sit still. The more I learn, the more I'm trying to inhabit childlike states. And there's a reason that we don't have books called Striving George. And maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into this children's book, but for the sake of analogy, bear with me. He's Curious George for a reason. He manages to go on all sorts of adventures. He manages to experience so much of life, even though he doesn't have everything mapped out ahead of time. Curious George certainly does not have a 1-year, a 5-year, or a 10-year plan, nor would he want to. Having everything mapped out ahead of time, it closes you off to the colorful side streets that you could go down, the flea markets that are full of treasures and interesting people that you never would have met had you had your life completely planned out. We kid ourselves if we think we can possibly map out what the future is going to hold in 10 years' time. There is just too much complexity around us to plan even next week, let alone what we're going to want, what we're going to desire, who we are going to be in 10 years' time. Think of how much you have changed in the last 10 years, and then consider you might change just that much in the next 10 years. You could be a completely different person within the next 10 years. And the things that you want now might not be the things that you want in those 10 years. Curiosity, to me, it asks the question, is there more for me? But it holds the question loosely. It doesn't hold on to any certain outcome. Striving, on the other hand, it grabs the bull by the horns. It takes the stairs, 2 stairs at a time. It goes on a road trip to Florida, and it drives 16 hours a day to get there in the fastest time possible. But of course, that defeats the entire purpose of a road trip. So for me, I'd rather be curious. I think curiosity allows you to tap into your unique interests and lets you follow your instincts. It allows you to inhabit a state of wonder instead of a state of closed-off intensity. And to be clear, I think the people that are ambitious, that have drive up the yin-yang, I think they do go on to accomplish great things. But I'm left wondering about how much fun they manage to have along the way. Think of anything that you have managed to accomplish in the last 5 years or so. And consider how long that feeling of accomplishment, that high of accomplishment, think about how long that lasted. Maybe it lasted a day, a week if you're lucky, and then it just goes back to normal. But the journey to those accomplishments, those can take years, if not decades, to realize. I, for one, want to have a blast along the way. And I think curiosity, it allows for gratitude, it allows for accomplishment, and it allows you to enjoy the ride.